Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Jake with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of JTWJE.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. Now, if you're listening to this on our audio platforms, please give us a 5-star rating and download this episode and future episodes. I really appreciate it. I'm so thrilled to welcome the singer-songwriter. He has upcoming EP Daydreaming is out July 25th as this recording. So please help me welcome Michael Lazar to the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be part of your legacy. I'm excited.
I'm excited to have you here, Michael. Before we got on air, before we started our recording process, we were having a conversation about we've been passing through tonight for the past couple of years now, and this is the first time we're finally meeting.
Yes, it's been a meeting in waiting, I'd say, because of the connections that we've built throughout the years. It's been nice. I've been
Yeah, and
excited and looking forward.
I want to give a shout out to our mutual friend Beatrice Kimmel, B. Kimmel, who set this up, and she has been writing Ride or Die for us for years.
She's amazing. I love working with her. It's so easy and yes, huge shout out for putting us in touch.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get started. So, Michael, when did you get interested in performing? How did that passion evolve and desire to pursue a career in the music industry?
All right. Well, I would say it started when I was 8 years old, more or less, piano lessons. That is where it all started for me. So I identify as a piano player, a performer for sure. But first, it was the piano that kind of like took hold of my heart, in the on the artistic level. Drawing was always a huge part of my life, and we could get into that later. That's how I operate as a multidisciplinary artist. But in short, piano lessons was my first outlet for emotion and creativity. And I started in the second grade, and I formed an amazing bond with my piano teacher. Her name is Mrs. Ebriel, shout out, in Westford, Massachusetts. And I stayed with her weekly lessons from 8 to 18. But during that time period, I also fell in love with acting and performing on stage. And so when I was in the second grade as well, it was kind of like a cosmic year for me. I didn't even realize, but I was cast as the lead in like the second grade school production. It was called Cowboy on the Moon. And I mean, it was a wild show. It's actually adorable. I wore like a pillowcase and little like antennas, but it was a musical and I was the lead, the Cowboy on the Moon, and it took place in the Wild West and it was adorable. And from there, though, I developed this huge passion for performing too, musicals, and that was really like I was dead set on Broadway and all that from really about that age as well. So I was developing my piano playing skills, but I was also acting. I did musicals with Chris Evans growing up. We happened to perform at the
What?
same. Yes, and his brother Scott. So I, like, grew up performing with that family in Sudbury. Well, they're from Sudbury, I was from Concord, and we all performed at the Concord Youth Theater, which put on these great, like, youth productions that were, like, really good quality, and yeah, so I have a whole history with growing up with them. I never, like, went to the same school as them, but I was always in the shows that they were in and stuff like that. So I did that the whole way, all the way to NYU, and I did, I think that's really the foundation, really, though, is the piano and the performing for sure took me to New York City.
All righty. We got a lot to unpack here really
I
quickly
know.
because, first of all, we have mutual past, fifth grade, 12th grade choir, fifth grade, 12th grade theater. So that's one.
Oh, yeah, all-state chorus, I did that stuff too.
Now I got through middle school with chorus as well, and also got a 2.5, 2 minus for my review. So I was like, okay, there goes my chance to say. But however, but
Well,
third of all, not a lot of people said that they grew up with an actor that became an Avenger or
or like an icon for sure, I know.
yeah. So good on you, good on you. That's a very interesting. Like never. This is
Well,
like
I wasn't trying to name drop. It's just a part of like my childhood. Growing up, I did plays with them, also others, but yeah.
yeah, like the thing is, I am third degree away from a MCU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm a huge Marvel
Or
fan as well. So
okay, so
basically,
who?
when I heard
Which
when
one?
I heard Chris Evans, I was like, wow, Michael.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
however, this conversation is not about Chris or Scott. It's all about you. So we got to continue it and put this train right back on the track. So
All
who are
good.
thank you. So who are the musicians, producers, and songwriters that inspired your sound?
Okay, so right off the bat, I feel like I have a personal trifecta that's been with me since middle school. It started with Jewel, to be honest. Fell in love with her, her raw, her poetic drive, her beautiful vocals, her sex appeal. I loved that too. And it was kind of like a subcategory of her artistry, which I liked, but it kind of, anyway, her. And then very quickly, I fell in love with Britney Spears. I don't care what anybody says, but she is my performance goddess. And then about during that time, I fell in love with Tori Amos, who is like the siren of the piano, who will weave a story into a song that will cast you under a spell. So for me, those three were a huge part of my musical evolution. And I feel like my dream pop persona would actually honestly blend elements of all three of them. Not to use females, but I have to because 'cause they're
Oh
like
yeah.
my inspirations, but,
Yeah.
um, then we also have to talk about Lady Gaga because she and I share so much in common. I'm sure a lot of people say that because there's a lot of musical theater performers who have gone on to explore, music outlets and things like that, and I think she's incredibly relatable that way anyway. But for me, we literally went to the same musical theater studio. She was 2 years behind me at Cap 21. I was in Cap 21. I didn't really know Lady Gaga as Stephanie or anything like that, but we definitely had the same teachers, the same all that. And we both are naturally piano playing performers. And I mean, she's just so amazing at pretty much every genre she tackles, in my opinion. I mean, you don't have to love her everything she does, but I'm incredibly inspired by her in a lot of ways. So yeah, I would say those four pretty much.
Well, I gotta say, Michael, those are really good picks,
Okay.
especially the Jewel, Brittany, and Gaga picks. I
Oh
love
yeah.
Gaga as well. She's amazing, and to see that you had some. Now that's a very interesting tie that you have a lot, and not a lot of people said that you've had the opportunity to go attend something with both Chris Evans and Lady Gaga before they became rock stars.
There you
That's one.
go.
And then also too, did you see Jewel on The Masked Singer as Queen of Hearts?
Of
She was
course.
amazing.
Yeah, and I have her music, those singles from The Masked Singer are kind of in my playlist
I
because her
loved her
version
take
of
on
Born
River.
This Way, and yes, that was so good too. I mean, it's crazy because I know her voice so well, so I didn't actually, I'm gonna be honest, I like The Masked Singer, but I didn't watch it religiously, so when Jewel was, crushing it as the Queen of Hearts, I wasn't watching it. But I'm like, if I had been a watcher, I would have been like, that's Jewel. Hello," because I feel like I've listened to her so much that I'm like, "You can't fool me. That's Jewel." But anyway, I didn't watch it live, so I can't tell you.
Well, I had a great time watching it live. However, I do have a Britney story to share.
Oh, I just
So
want her to I'm not anyway, I could unpack so much on her, but go ahead.
yeah, we all send Britney the best vibes ever, especially "You'll Say It
Yes.
Again." Definitely one of the greatest pop albums of all time. I
Uh,
and
I
then
love all
I
of them. I stand
and
for
then
Blackout, but yes. Keep
So my story is with Brittany. There was a little show called X Factor back in the early 2010s, and when Kansas City went on, as she went to Kansas City. There was when auditions for Kansas City came to town. I was one of the crew members that actually was on the that was worked on the show. And then also the same for the crew. This is for the Kansas City stop only. I did not go back to LA with them or anything. But the
Uh-huh.
thing is, I thought as I was getting back to Production Central, I saw two artists walk in, like breeze by. So I was like, okay, let's follow them. And then I followed them, and all of a sudden, there was an open door, and all of a sudden, my eyes exchanged eyes with Brittany.
Uh.
So I just went and then dashed out because I did not want to get fired.
I don't blame you though. I've had some like fangirl moments with Britney when she did her Vegas residency. I saw it like 5 times, 4 times, 5 times.
Were
Oh
you
my
able to
God.
go upstairs to join her to be one of the people that that as her human dog?
No, oh no, I wish. Oh my God, that would have been amazing. I think they were pre-selected. I don't know how to get in on that pool, but I did. This was pure luck. My friends and my partner and me, we happened to have tickets for the show that was also the recorded performance by Iggy and Britney in the black leather for Pretty Girls. Do you remember when she had like
Oh
really
yeah, oh yeah.
beautiful and she appeared in like this really sexy, like semi-transparent black, like nylon outnumber. She kind of looked like Catwoman. And then Iggy Azalea was during their partnership. Well, we watched that like performance be recorded and they had to do it like 4 times. And they called everybody that was had tickets for that night like 2 hours before the show to, like, be there for that. It was so cool.
Well, I gotta say that must be amazing seeing Britney live, and I would have loved to have seen her live. And I gotta say, still one of my all-time favorite Britney moments is when her and Michael Jackson performed "The Way You Make Me Feel" at that 30th anniversary. They don't know a
I
lot of I
know.
call it was a legend meeting star at the making.
I know, and she was so confident. She just went out there like she had been with him all along as, like, his little sidekick, pop star best friend, and they were so, like, in sync with one another, and she was wearing that, like, lime green mini thing. It
Oh yeah,
looked really good.
and here's the thing: no one could go toe to toe with MJ and come out still standing.
Right. Right, that's what I'm saying. She held her own. It was amazing. She's so young too.
Alrighty,
Ah,
I love that we're having these pop culture moments, but we gotta go
okay,
back
alright,
and
let's
talk
keep it
about some of these
clipping.
incredible. So basically, what have been some of the challenges that you face staying in any entertainment industry at large, and how have you overcome those obstacles?
Alright, well, constant rejection and pressure to fit a mold, that's a huge thing that's been, like s it still is, if I'm being honest, I think. I mean, I'm okay with it now because I feel like I'm very confident in my art and my music and my control over the product. I feel like I'm gaining a better grasp of that as I go along. But like as an actor too, who before while I was songwriting, I was doing the Broadway thing, and I did national tours. I did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I was Schroeder, the piano guy. And then I did the national tour of Seussical the musical. And those were some really good gigs that I had right out of college, honestly. And I got my equity card. But I was also very heavily involved in songwriting and making art. I have to just be that. That's who I am. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and it doesn't take away from my music, doesn't take away from my art. It is just what I do. And I think, like, that's been very difficult for, like, a lot of industry people to kinda, like, how are they gonna market me, especially if I don't have, like, fame already, I guess maybe it would be, something that I could if I'm trying to get inside the minds of industry people, why, like, I was a tough, maybe, like, investment to make, it might be like, "Well, you gotta pick one." I really hate that. That doesn't go well with, like, my whole thing. And all the artwork daydreaming is so amazing because I feel like it really is finally like merging to my visual art with my music. I mean, 5149 was very visual too, but it was just a lot, and it was more about like other themes, I think. And it supported the music. I don't know. I just feel like this is like much more. I don't want to get sidetracked. We can talk about that later. A couple of other challenges. Well, I lost my mom at 30, so that definitely was like a
Right.
derail. 5149 is really a lot about that journey though. Not to like get butterfly effecty. Like if it weren't for, losing my mom, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think I still would have done music, but probably definitely wouldn't have been 5149. But that was definitely a big thing because I had to like put on my big boy pants and like get like an art selling job. So like I couldn't like I don't know. I just felt like my whole life kind of changed during that period of time. So that was a challenge because it didn't take me out of like my aspirations, but it definitely for like 5 years just like kinda like shook me up, I'd say. Um, so yeah, I think those 2 challenges might be the biggest ones that I've faced.
I gotta say this, your mom must be so proud of you. Is she must be
Oh,
so proud of you, and you are following your passion, which she wanted. That's one thing.
thanks.
And number two, also within our industry right now, we've had so many people, like people are not complaining about Selena Gomez being a act having a successful show like with
Of
in on
course, that's what I
Only
said.
Murders in the Building or like being a singer and also having her beauty thing.
Right,
No one's complaining about Joe Manganiello being with geeks doing all the stuff with Deal or No Deal Island and acting on the side as well. So it's like the thing is, it's like I hate that our industry wants to put us in have like wants to say singer like have like triple threat or quadruple threats. We're
right, and
just
you're
a
not
person.
right, and like it's almost like you're not allowed to do it all until you have a brand behind you. That's like making like tons of like money so that like it's a no fail. That's kind of how I feel sometimes, but
And thing is, I've been rejected too. And like the thing, like, yeah, would I love to have access to being with people, writing with people in Entertainment Weekly? Absolutely. But at the
right,
same time, I think we're all on this journey. I've seen colleagues of mine have gotten jobs from like in broadcast industry. Some of them have won Emmys or gone to other networks, while some have fizzled out. So the thing
right.
is, we have to be on our own journey. And like at times, we all look at like I look at my fellow podcasters, and there's some are having some bigger success and getting bigger names tonight, and I'm like, you don't know what. Sometimes the grass is always greener has always been one of the biggest obstacle that anyone has to face.
Yeah, and I think like I'm at a point in my life because I have like a full-time job. It feels somewhat acceptable for me because it's selling fine art photography, but not my own. It's like, it's I do it in Miami. And listen, I have a lot of flexibility in a lot of ways, but like I still like that's a huge like challenge that I face as like somebody who's not willing to give up my art and my music pursuit ever, I don't think. Honestly, at this point, not with like 5149 behind me and now daydreaming, like I'm gonna keep building this until like I don't know. And I feel like I'm lucky now because I don't rely on daydreaming to like pay my bills. I would love to. I really would. Do not get me wrong. It's my dream for like my art and my music to like fully, pay my bills. But until that time, I make like a living and I'm able to fund this. So it's like the stakes aren't as high, I guess, in that sense, because it's also it's my I feel like my calling, but it's also like my passion project, it's something that like one does that they love outside of work, technically, which I wish
Same
it wasn't,
here.
but it is.
Yeah, I have to deal with that 100% as well with me and my job as well. And like it took me a long time to say that, like to get to have the best of both worlds. It took me years to get that. And
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah,
maybe we're lucky.
that we can have time to pursue our passion while also at the same time pursuing a paycheck.
Right, and then maybe over time, we will finally get there in our way. Maybe, hopefully.
Your lips to God's ears for both of us. Alrighty, I want to talk to you about "Daydreaming," your new single. I love the
Yes.
song, and I believe that with the "Daydream," when I was listening to it, it's like this is Brian Wilson layering.
Okay, so, you know, I loved that reference. I really did because daydreaming for me is definitely a nostalgic, cinematic moment in my music, like, career, and what I mean by that is I have quite a few songs that are actually in this vein, if I'm being honest, and you wait till you hear number 5, "By My Side." Oh my god, it's like a doo-wop dream under a full moon at night in the, like, water. It's, like, really it really takes you to, like, a place, um and so I'm excited to share that sort of vintage inspired vibe and that side of me with my audience because I think it's a huge part of me that wasn't actually like called upon, if you will, in 5149. There might have been little like elements of it for sure, but daydreaming to me is like a really wonderful blend of like electronic meets like, some vintage vibes. Brian Wilson is a great example. Also like Elvis, James Dean is not a singer, but that's the kind of like image I want evoked. And if I ever got to it, the music video would be so amazing because it's inspired by the Back to the Future 50s prom. And I want to be Michael and the Daydreamers on stage as the musical act, performing for this beautiful vintage kind of like prom set. And I have a lot more to say about how I would want that music video to go. But that's honestly the feel that I feel like daydreaming captures. But then also subject matter wise, it's about unspoken love and the beauty of fantasy. And I have like an interesting. Should I continue for a couple more minutes about daydreaming, the single?
Absolutely.
Okay. So daydreaming is on one hand, it's so light and beautiful and deep pour and it just takes you kind of away on a breeze. But like at the core of it, which is kind of a little bit of like I don't want to say a signature of mine, but it is something that's a through line in my music is there's happiness mixed with something? Is it sadness? Is it longing? Is
Hmm.
it is it reminiscing? Is it wanting to go back like, Adele and when we were young? Like those are definitely feelings that my music explores and themes in my lyrics and in the sound. So daydreaming has that because you're I'm building this whole love affair and then boom, in a moment, it's not real though, it's in my head and I'm daydreaming instead. And then the listener is like left with that, and you're like, wait a minute. I thought this was like a beautiful love song about happily ever after, but you're alone in the clouds just thinking about it. That's so sad. I hope you find that person. So daydreaming is a little bit of a pull and a push that way, I think it's more happy than sad. The whole project is more levity and it floats and it really, really honestly is. I'm proud that it has more happiness in it than 5149, which I love. But, you know, I would say that's kind of the story. Oh, and then the last thing that's so cool is that I actually really do have a found love that I'm so grateful for. So daydreaming, the second verse, I actually because I wrote this song in 2021, coming right out of 5149. It was literally, I want to say it was the next song that I produced, and I wrote it directly into Logic. I didn't write the piano line first. And I had half of the lyrics done for it, and I was kinda, like, stumped not stumped, the song came to me relatively quickly, if I'm being honest, over the course of probably a couple of weeks, but the 2nd verse, I was like, "Whoa, this song is, like I really like that, so I'm not gonna rush the 2nd verse." And then I had a day off, and I went biking in the Everglades with Chris, my partner, and
Oh yeah.
I swear to because I live in South Florida, and, it was just a nice outing that we had planned, and we did it, and there was a biking loop that, people recommended, so we did it, and I remember, like, being on the bike And I was like looking up as the clouds roll by, and I'm so happy that I made you mine. And he was like biking in front of me. And like that was a real, like a really pulled moment from my life that daydreaming has. So like, it's kind of nice because I actually have it.
Which is great, which is great. And it feels like there's two bookends to this. 41, 51, 49. Basically it was about felt like you were dealing with like try to overcome how to move on from tragedy, while this one is like you're more the more uplifting experience.
Yes, yes, and and I feel it. Like I feel happy. Like I really do. I feel like the energy is good with both, but like I feel I'm really excited to share this whole project, including the next single, with everybody.
Awesome, awesome. So we got to start winding down our conversation pretty soon.
No
Um,
worries.
okay. Dream collaboration, singers, songwriters, musicians, and producers, and how would they enhance your?
All right. So I think I've done this like 3 times. Only 3, that's definitely not enough in social media's today's standards. I should be doing it like on every one of her posts. But I want to open for Betty Who. I think I would be like, do you know Betty Who? You must, right?
Oh
Sort
yeah,
of.
oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she's currently in her starting her Out of the Darkness tour, and she released her lead single, Run. Kind of like I use her a little bit for inspo because I feel like she went independent. I think she left her label and now she's just doing her thing. And anyway, sidebar, I would love to either collaborate or open for Betty Who. I feel like her audience too would very much be like in line with like my audience because it's LGBTQT plus, but it's also more than just that, and it's for everybody in that sense. And I do think though, like as a identifying gay man though, like that would be a good artist for me to sort of like be in the presence of. Um, Also, I mean, Lady Gaga, that goes without saying. I forget it in my dreams.
Well,
And
wait a minute.
then
Don't cut yourself out. If Bruno Mars can do it with Lady Gaga, so can you.
thank you. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jake. Um, Wait, there was one other person. Oh, yes. So I have been, and I know she's been around a long time. Sorry, this is like my beach bum hair today, and I'm still navigating having all of it. So pardon if I'm like touching it all the time.
No problem.
Um, Okay, so Marina and the Diamonds. I know, I understand. I don't wanna sound like somebody who's, like, late to the game because I know she has a whole thing behind her, but her latest era is really speaking to me, and she has a song called Butterfly. It's so poppy. It's so good. I listen to it at the gym. It's got this, and one of my songs is called Life of the Butterfly. The closing song, which we didn't talk about this, and I know we're at the end, but just briefly, the last song of 5149 is called Miss You, and it's a tribute to my mom. And the monarch butterfly, which is something that I do as a hobby in South Florida, I raise them on my patio, literally. I feel this weird connection with my mom, so I took that feeling and I put it into the daydreaming project. So she's like with me in this project as well. And the last song of Daydreaming is called Life of the Butterfly, which is about the lessons that I've taken from raising them outside. And if I could collaborate with Marina and the Diamonds with her butterfly thing, yeah.
Awesome. Those are some incredible collaborations. So let's talk about social media. What are your favorite places to post and why?
Okay, so for me, Instagram is for sure it's like my comfort space because I am able to I feel like I have like a really good following from art and music, and it's all kind of converged on that platform for me in a really great way. So it's just the facts, and that's Art by Lazar. Um, the good news is I've done a pretty good job of branding myself. As a multidisciplinary artist, I can get really challenging, but TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, Twitter. and Instagram are all art by Lazar. And then the only thing that's Michael Lazar Music is my Facebook page and my website.
Awesome. I think you picked out some really good ones. So guys, if you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast, visit our channels on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Spreaker. Once again, Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JCOB, And besides that, Michael, are you on Spotify?
I am on Spotify. So if you have access to this QR code in any way, it takes you to my hyper follow link for Daydreaming, the single, which is out now. My next single, Want Me Back, comes out June 13th, Friday. And sidebar, I wore the shirt today that I'm wearing on the single cover for Want Me Back.
Nice teaser, nice teaser. So that's going to be excellent. Alrighty,
Yeah.
guys. Now, I'm also on social media. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOB, And Michael, what's up?
Michael Lazar is my artist name on Spotify, Apple Music, etc.
All right, I'm
Michael.
so glad I need to make sure to
Thank you.
grab that. So, all righty, and to find out my take on Michael's music and what's up with my interviews and everything, go to the blog that started all, shake.com. Once again, shake.com. And guys, it's official. The Jake Stick with Jacob Elyachar Podcast is a 2025 American Business Award winner in Best Interview and Talk Show Silver Rating.
Yes, congrats. That's amazing.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it. And Michael, thank you so much for taking time in your schedule to talk to me today. We had a fabulous discussion.
We sure did. Thank you. I'm grateful.
I'm grateful too. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great one, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.